want to really listen. Okay, now those of you who saw Mendy, Mendy's, that this was a piece. I will preface this is that Wednesday night, when I was thinking about what I was going to say on Thursday, I saw this, and my first reaction was, well, nobody will believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it'll work. But the reason why I'm going to give it a shot and I'm going to put it out to you, it is a Devar Torah. B, I was a couple of weeks ago to commemorate Rabbi Jonathan Sachs's yard site. They had a panel on. There were 4 people who were talking. One of them happened to be an imam. Rabbi Meir Soloveitchik was there. So I think the president of Yale, who was actually related to Rabbi Soloveitchik. I forget who the other person was. Anyway, and the imam was talking about what his relationship was with Rabbi Sachs. And it was very close. I think he was the imam, actually was the imam at, I think, Duke University. And then the topic was anti-Semitism. And this was what's going on in the Middle East was going on now. We're going on then. This is not after, this is after October 7th. Then, after that, his daughter came on to sort of, carrying on the legacy. And when she got to the question in her speech, his daughter, I think is Gila, when she got to part of her speech, what would he do? She said, I'm not so sure. I don't know. It's hard to say, which was actually probably what the right answer was, because nobody really knows what he would say. But then I was flipping through my book. I think I have the set of the Covenant and Conversations. Sometimes you see them what do we get? We get the link, and I see it in the Jewish press. They usually have a story from it, one of his essays. And I didn't see this one. I didn't see there, and this was from Parshas Chayei. It was called On Judaism and Islam. And I heard the Devar Torah before. I think Rabbi Markowitz was the first person who I heard give it. And I don't know. I'm going to throw it out there. You make your own conclusions about it. He presents it as a possibility for reconciliation based on the relationship between Yitzhak and Ishmael. But anyway, what's going on? He starts. Let me do it the way I was going to do it. What's basically going on is in Parshas Lech Lecha, just to give you the little context to this, in Parshas Lech Lecha, chapter 15 talks about is after the war. Avram is said to Avram is having his conversation with Hashem, and he says, "Is Eliezer?" The conversation where he says, "I'm childless. Who's going to get my house? Eliezer? Hadamasin Eliezer?" And God assures him, of course, that it's going to come through Sarah, his wife. Then he gets the dream with the redemption. There will be a covenant. The sun goes down, and he gets okay. Then the chapter after that is the bris milah, circumcision. In the middle, after being assured by Hashem about having a child, because he has no child. He's been promised, as we know, he's been promised the land and a family. He's got nothing of that, but he had to fight a war. So he comes back he's now been promised again, but he sees that chapter 16 it's the chapter of Hagar and Ishmael, and says that Sarah, his wife, had borne him no children. I'm going to do it in English because it's easier and faster. She had a maid servant whose name was Hagar, and she basically, she would be built up. Sarah would be built up through Hagar. So Abraham goes in and he habitates with her. I guess they do the whole thing. Basically, I'm not sure how much, whether it was a full marriage or a half marriage or what it was, I don't know. But she conceives. He consorted with Hagar, and she conceived. And then here comes the problem comes that she conceives, and she says, this woman I'm with, my mistress is so holy. Why hasn't she conceived? Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know, but Sarah, in her becomes lowered in her esteem, and she says, "Let Hashem judge between me and you." And Sarah says to Avram, he's still Avram, and she says to him, the outrage against me is due to you. But the word, and what I find fascinating about the conversation, it was a conversation, and she's just yelling at him. Let's see, line 5. And she says, Sarah to Avram, Hamasi. Now, Hamas is a word that, if we know the word Hamas goes back to the flood, to the time before the flood. Why was there a flood? Hamas, violence, robbery, those things. So I've seen a few translations of the word Hamas. In this case, here ArtScroll is outrage. I think I saw in the Chabad translated it as injustice, but she's upset. Hamas, violence, tend the side to the violence to you is because of you. It's what you've done here. You've done something here. I don't know. She doesn't say what it was, but he did something. There was something. Your maidservant is in your hand, and she comes down on Hagar, and Hagar runs away. And they find her, and the Malach Hashem finds her at the well, and he makes the well. And an angel says, "I'll, return to your mistress." He finds her by the well, and what are you doing? I'm running away. The Malach Hashem says, "Return to your mistress, submit yourself to her." And he says to her, "I will greatly increase your offspring, and they will not be counted for abundance." You're going to call him Ishmael, and part of the description is the wild ass of a man, which I don't know if we consider that his progeny, his descendants are that, but that's what they're supposed to be. He's supposed to be, that's what they're supposed to be. Everyone's hand against him is going to be difficult. And she called the name of Hashem, who's the Malach Mushpat, the God of vision, and she calls it let me see if I can find this. If I can find what it says here. Name of the well. The name of the well, and the place is called the name of. Here it is. Be'er Lahai Ro'i. That's the name. That's the name of the well. That's the name of the place. And in all of this, the next chapter, of course, as I said, is the bris. Now, why Abraham does this, why Sarah does this, I don't know. But Ishmael will come on the scene. And then we have, let's see. Then we have the birth of Yitzchak, alliance with Avimelech, and then so what does Sarah? Sarah does. I know I forgot it. I forgot. It was what Sarah sees that they're playing Ishmael and Ishmael and Yitzchak. They're playing, and the word they uses there is meitzach. That he's playing. Yitzchak means to have laughter and fun, and Ishmael is playing with his brother, maybe shooting arrows at him or something, and they call it meitzach. He's making fun of him. In other words, the laughter sort of turned to fun, to mocking him and making fun of him, as to which Sarah says to Ishmael. So Sarah says to him, to Abraham, get rid of her, throw her out. Just get rid of her. Doesn't need that. She doesn't want him to inherit along with her son. He's not. Person goes to Yitzchak, does not go to Ishmael, and that is basically. And they're expelled. When she was born to Abraham, it was mocking. They said the word was in Hebrew almost is. So she said, now he's Abraham, drive out the slave woman with her son. He shall not inherit my son. And the man greatly distressed Abraham, but God said to him, do what she says. Whatever Sarah tells you, heed her voice. And since through Yitzchak will be considered your offspring. But the son of the slave woman as well will make you. But God tells him, as he has said to him before at the end of Parshas Lech Lecha, the slave woman, Ishmael, will also be a great nation. It will make him a nation. Here he's just a nation. I think he's a great nation before. And Abraham awoke early in the morning, took the bread and the skin of the water. Doesn't give him much. You figure, considering all of that, he probably would have given her provisions for a week or so. But he placed them on her shoulder, take the boy and go. The boy is at least 13 because he's 13 at the end of, so he must be, Yitzchak is after he's weaned, which was, I think, at around 3. So Ishmael must be 16, 17, maybe 18 years old. Yeah, and she placed them on his shoulder along with the boy, and off they go. When everything was, the water was eaten, the bread was eaten, the water was drunk. She sat herself down at a distance, some bow shots away. Let me not see the boy die. She kind of hides her face and she lifts her voice and she cries, and God hears the cry of the youth and the boy. And an angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, what troubles you? Said, fear not, God has heeded the cry of the youth in his present state. Arise, lift the youth, and grasp your hand upon him, for I will make him a great nation. Okay. I understand that there is a midrash that talks about this, in which the Malachim are sitting there. I guess if they're judging the situation, you might say, and they basically say, let the boy die. And Hashem's answer to them was, hasn't done anything yet. I can't judge him for something that he's going to do, or even his grandchildren are going to do. He hasn't done anything. So, and we do learn from that punishment goes to actions, not always to thoughts. But the point about this is that off he goes. Off he goes. He's out. He's out. And then we have the Akedah. I'm not going to get into the Akedah again. Chaya Sora, she passes away, perhaps from I don't know. She passes away. She hears the news and passes away, whether she has a heart attack from the shock or whatever it is. I think Rabbi Yudin discussed that a couple of weeks ago. Okay, and now the servant. I think we know him as the same servant as before, as Eliezer. Servant goes out, comes back with Rivka, and they're in the field, and they go they're coming basically. What does it say when he gets down closer to the okay? Isaac and Rebekah. Now Isaac came from having gone to. He came from Be'er Chai Roy, okay, which is basically he's either come from or visited the same place that we just talked about, that I mentioned, was where Hagar was at the well, where she was at the well. Now, was he visiting her or visiting his half brother? I don't know, but that's where he had come from. And when Rivka sees him, as she's coming back with Eliezer, the south country, and Isaac went out to supplicate in the field. You know, he davens, I guess davens mincha towards evening, and he raised his eyes and saw, and behold, the camels were coming. Now, how does that? Now, that's basically what it is. How does Rabbi Sachs sort of tie this all together as peace? Because what he says is that there's an apparent at the end of Chaya Sarah also is we have the death of Abraham. I think it's here. Well, anyway, and then when Abraham passes, Abraham expired. 5 is right at the end. He dies in a good old age, an old man full of years, and was gathered to his people, Isaac and Ishmael, his sons. Okay, the two brothers that were fighting or playing rough or whatever it was, that guy Ishmael, whether they got along or not, whether it was, to me, it sounded to me like a big brother and a little brother kind of beating up on each other. Taking one making fun of the other and whatever. Could it have been more serious? A mother might say no. A mother might say he meant to do him harm. There was something wrong with it. And I can't speak for that, not being a mother. Okay, and Ishmael and his sons buried him. Sons, that means there were the 7 sons that from before. So they all come and bury him in Machpel, in the cave, where Ephron sold it to him. And as we said yesterday, or whatever it was, we said yesterday that cave is an important piece in there. Ishmael doesn't seem to have any claim on it, the way we would see later on that Esau has when Yaakov dies. And they get together. They seem very peaceful. Yitzchak gets everything for everything. He inherits the legacy and I guess everything. And Abraham leaves gifts for Ishmael and the other brothers that are born to him. And we'll get to Keturah in a second. Now the thing is that there is, when Abraham gets remarried. Okay, the question is, he marries somebody that the Torah calls Keturah. And I'll take this pretty right from Rabbi Sachs's work himself. He says the sages answer to the second question, who is she? Okay. And they say she was Hagar. And it's not unusual for people in the Torah to have more than one name. And Rabbi Sachs points out the Yitro, he had 7. Hagar was Keturah because her acts gave fragrance. Her acts now gave fragrance with incense. They were much sweeter, and this integrates second marriage as an essential component of the marriage. Hagar did not end her days as an outcast. Okay, she returned, and since it seemed as though that Yitzhak was coming back from the same place where she was, the last place that we find that she was sitting there alone. That's where he was coming back from. And Hagar did not end her days in Nazareth. This changes the painful story of the banishment of Ishmael. Okay. Okay, the whole thing is that if Yitzhak went and whatever, and he brings her back and gets back with together. Rabbi Sachs points out that there was the word I'm looking for is reconciliation. There was a reconciliation between Abraham, between Ishmael and Yitzhak. And Abraham, who basically did love Ishmael, he was his son. Sarah, and as Rabbi Sachs points away, he didn't want to send away Ishmael. He didn't want to. He did it because of Sarah. He did it because of Yitzhak. And I think there's also, I've read that there's also the idea of raising a Jewish child with a Jewish mother. She wanted to, Sarah was the first Jewish mother, and she was going to raise the son, and Abraham was going to have the relationship with her and solely with her to raise Yitzchak. And then here's the part of the Rabbi Sachs now points out that there a midrash calls it. He uses the word extraordinary. Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, which tells of how Abraham twice visited his son Ishmael. On the first occasion, Ishmael was not at home. His wife, not knowing who Abraham was, refused the stranger bread and water, and Ishmael, continues the midrash, divorced her. There was some sign, I think, that Abraham gives to the first wife to indicate to him, hey, this is not acceptable. This kind of behavior is not acceptable. We know Abraham was he represented Chesed. Okay, he represents Chesed in the to the Torah and to us. Okay, and this time when Abraham, the midrash continues. He divorced his first wife, and the second woman that this next wife that Ishmael takes on, his name is Fatima. Now, it's important, I guess, to note what Rabbi Sachs is hinting at is that, well, what he's indicating as is she has a name that there's something important to it, and according to this, there is. When Abraham comes again, he again not tempted. This woman gave him food and drink. The midrash then says Abraham stood and prayed before the Holy One, blessed be He, and Ishmael's house became filled with all good things because of Abraham's prayer. Okay, he's a navi. When Ishmael returned, his wife told him about it, and Ishmael knew that his father still loved him. Father and son were reconciled. Now, the name of Ishmael's second wife, Fatima, is significant. According to Rabbi Sachs, he did his homework. I'll rely on him. Fatima is the daughter of Muhammad. Pirkei Rebbe Eliezer is an 8th century work, which means that I believe that in the 700s, the 8th century, Muhammad was converted to Islam, and the Navi of Islam, or whatever you want to call him. And is here making an explicit positive reference to him. Okay, the hidden story here is the consequence for our time. Okay, and Rabbi Sachs is making this pretty explicit. And since we both, Muslims and Abraham, get Muslims and Jews, we both trace our descent to Abraham. We're, as he points out, as Rabbi Sachs had pointed out often, Abraham was the most important man in history in all likelihood. I mean, how many, there are what, 14 to 15 million Jews, and I don't know how many billions of a billion Muslims, something like that. And then all the Christians who come out of this covenant through Isaac, and Muslims through Ishmael. Okay, the Christians also come through Isaac and David and whatever in their own way. The fact that both sons stood together at their fathers tells us that they too were reunited. And I guess the point here is that the sages reuse and piece together a moving story of reconciliation of Abraham, Isaac, and Ishmael. And I think the point is I said that if there was a reconciliation, yeah, there could be a reconciliation. You know, I could poll the viewers here and say how many people actually believe that this is possible.
Sam, question.
Sure, good.
Question. So Hagar, aka Keturah, went back to Abraham.
That's what no, Hagar was
question. Okay, question. Did she forgive him?
She must have. She had 7 children with him, in addition to Ishmael. Sounds like they were together for a while.
Fair question, though, right? Fair question. You don't know a woman alive. You don't know a Jewish woman alive who would have forgiven her husband for kicking her out with her son.
Jay, you could forgive but not forget.
And sleep with the guy again.
Forgive and not forget. Okay, Shira, I saw saw your face kind of came up here while Jay was talking.
Yeah, no, I'm here. I was just listening. Who knows?
It is fascinating. It's fascinating. As I said, I was looking at this on Wednesday and I said, nah. But it's an interesting Devar Torah, and I'll tell you why I don't think it'll happen. One is because to Muslims today, from what I've seen on TV and seen some of them, they take it seriously, the fact that we've doctored the story, so to speak, talking about Yitzhak going with Abraham to the Akedah. They say it was Ishmael. That's for one thing. I don't know what's going on there. And then on the other hand, they do have a thing as far as what we call Eretz Yisrael, and what they seem to be calling Palestine, that because it was under Palestine was a province, not a state. It was a province in the Caliphate, in the Ottoman Caliphate, until 1917, when the British kind of broke the whole thing apart there. That once Muslims rule it, Jews can't. Nobody else can rule it. And I've seen them applied in 9/11, after 9/11, talking, say, about Spain, where Muslims ruled in a certain part of Spain, and I think it was Ferdinand and Isabella in the early 1400s, kind of threw them out and made it a Christian country, that they would like to take that over again. So, there are certain things, and somebody we had in the shul a few years ago what's his name is Kedar, Matthew Kedar, Mordechai Kedar, that's his name. He talked about this whole struggle not just being a something that can be resolved with a shake of the hand, and you take, I'll give you 2 acres and you give me 3 acres, and we'll swap it around and make a deal and sign on the dotted line. That it was really this is really a religious struggle, much more than our political leaders in Washington are willing to admit and accept. So do I think this is, I think this is possible? Yes, anything is possible. I think there are a couple of the Navis who will also say that Kedar, who is one of the sons, perhaps related to the nation of Qatar, what we call Qatar today, or one of the other places where the tribes are, will be, in the Beit HaMikdash, that their sheep will be sacrificed in Beit HaMikdash. They will be part of it, part of the service of the Beit HaMikdash. Somehow, I don't understand that part of it, but that's what I believe. I saw Yeshayahu and maybe his Yechezkel, and talk about that. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I just presented this. I just wanted to know that. What would Rabbi Sachs say? I don't know, but this is what he did say about the topic. We're in the middle of a war, and sometimes what I see when I go delving to I don't know, when I go delving, some of my friends tell me I shouldn't go in Facebook and some other places like that. It kind of scares me, some of the things that the lies and the stories and the distortion of the facts that's out there, that is passing around, and people are buying. So that's why I think the last couple of times when I've spoken, I wanted to keep us aware, keep the finger on the pulse of what's really going on. And I know Rabbi Uden tries to do that, and Rabbi Markowitz. So I just wanted to, so that was the object and my goal in taking care of this. I hope I've given you a little enlightenment on an aspect of this and the Devar Torah. Anyway, have a good Shabbos, everybody.
Sam, thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you. Good
Everybody have a
Shabbos.
good Shabbos.
Shabbos, everybody.
Everybody.